Good morning from Midrand in Johannesburg. We are here today at Gijima, who is an old friend of CompTIA and of me personally. I've been doing business with them for many, many years. And I'm very honored today to speak to Mpho Matsitse, who is the Chief Industries Officer at Gijima. Mpho, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us today. Can we start by telling me a little bit about your role? You have a very long job title. Tell us what it means.
Good morning, Lorraine. Thank you very much for having me here. As you've said, my name is Mpho Matsitse. I am the Chief Industries Officer at Gijima, so CIO with a twist.
Okay.
All right. So essentially what I look after is the go-to-market effort for Gijima. So I look after discovering new alternative revenue for new business. I look after emerging markets, the industries across the board. So we play in public sector, retail, manufacturing, and the sort. I also play a part in driving some of the M&A initiatives at Gijima as well. So quite a broad role.
Very.
But the favorite part of my role is working with strategic partners such as yourself and others in driving some of our efforts. Yeah.
So when you say new markets, obviously I know Gijima plays in the rest of Africa as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that's also part of your portfolio.
That's also part of my portfolio. So predominantly we do focus on South Africa as we're driving some of our strategic initiatives here. But we do play in Kenya, we play in Nigeria and some of the other countries as well.
Oh, fabulous. That's also part of my region. So really nice to do some business in Africa. It's very interesting as well.
Yes,
Love it.
definitely.
So I was looking on LinkedIn at your career and you've worked at some big name companies. But tell us a little bit about how long you've been here.
So I've been with Gijima since January, so the 15th of Jan.
Okay.
So it's actually my 100-day week actually this week. So it's been quite an exciting experience. I've met some phenomenal people. What really excites me is that this year Gijima celebrates its 30th birthday.
Wow.
Right, so 30 years Gijima is amazing. We're looking forward to the next 30 years.
Yes.
And it's really grown into something that we can all be proud of.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it obviously says a lot about you as a person because you're here for the changes and the new way of doing things. Tell me a little bit about skills development here at Gijima. I know Gijima has always been very, very active in that environment with learnerships and even upskilling your own staff. Can you share a little bit about that, please?
No, certainly. I think, Lorraine, maybe to start off with what's very interesting is that the World Economic Forum suggests that in Africa, 6 out of every 10 kids will do a job that doesn't exist yet.
That's crazy stuff.
That is crazy stuff.
Yes.
And I think it's Michael Simmons who said that the world in the next 20 years will quadruple its change pace
That's great.
faster than the last 300 years of humanity combined. Right? So ultimately, it means that we have to try and anticipate what it could look like whilst navigating the change as we go. So even though I'm part of the executive leadership, talent is a very key aspect of what it is that I do. And what we've done at Gijima is that what we focus on from a skills development perspective is ensuring that we do rapid assessments and ensuring that we understand what the gaps are in the market, what our clients are demanding, what the industry priorities are dictating. And we've picked up a couple of things, right? So in the last few months, what we found is that there's a large skills demand for application development and cybersecurity professionals. We're getting a large demand for data science and AI engineers. And we're also getting a large demand for cloud computing architects, etc. And how we go about navigating that is by conducting annual skills assessments to assess the gaps methodically, but ensuring that we also understand where the shortages in the country, but also in the globe are. So at the moment, cybersecurity engineers and AI language model individuals are a large shortage. In fact, just to zone in on that cybersecurity element, what was mind-blowing for me in some of the research that I was doing is we have crime as a service now in cybersecurity. Right, so CAS. And what ultimately is that you've got providers like tech providers just on the black market providing tools, services, platforms, data to cyber criminals for a price in order for them to commit cyber crimes. So on the cyber engineer element, it's very difficult to find ethical hackers because you're competing against the guys on the dark market. And AI language modelers are there, and it's exciting because we've got so many platforms that are available: ChatGPT, Gemini AI, Microsoft Copilot, etc. And what you're finding is that a lot of our clients in the industries, because of the large shortage, are also driving their own skills development to upskill their own internal cohort so that they can be self-sufficient. Right? So it's a rather large battle for skills, but that's how we're doing it at Gijima today. Yeah.
I haven't thought about that, but obviously we've always known that people that are involved in cybercrime make sure that they stay up to date and they're very, very highly skilled.
Yes.
So it's always will always be a problem to every company.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of your training division. We know Aranka very well for a long time.
Okay.
So that's where the learnership side happens,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
So, as you said, Aranka looks after our HCM division, which is she's doing a fantastic job. And what she drives there is a multi-layered approach to skills development. So what we've got is, as I said, the skills needs analysis that then informs what we offer as a mix of formal training. So some of it is looking at learnerships and internships, experiential learning, as well as on-the-job training. And, we've been privileged enough to work with some of our partners. So we're a Microsoft accredited shop. And we do the full Microsoft official curriculum, and we deliver that from a skills perspective. We also drive skills development and we partner with HPE, which also gives our people exposure to some of the global content that exists as well. And I'm very proud of Gijima as well, because just in the last 4 months, right, so between Jan and April, we've had run about 220 young individuals that are being developed and being prepared experientially for the working environment, right? So 40 learners on the Gijima funded learnerships. We've got 47 interns on the internship programs. We've got 58 learners on the MICT CETA certifications, 36 interns on our HPE partnership, and about 40 AI and data science students as part of the Microsoft cohort that sit out in Cape Town. All right, so we're very, very deliberate about driving change. And what's even more exciting is that we have a placement rate of just over 60% of these learners into full-time jobs, either here at Gijima or with our partners or even with our clients. So we keep a very broad ecosystem in ensuring that they don't just learn and get certified, but they're able to practice and hone in on those skills and obviously grow their careers in different fields.
That's an impressive number. I interview a lot of people. That's a very impressive number, and also quite a diverse range of skills that you're covering. So really impressive. In terms of your internal staff, do you have anything in place for them in terms of career advancement, a career path that they can follow within the company?
No, certainly we do. Right? So we have a lot of those frameworks that exist around succession planning. In fact, you're catching us at a moment where we are also refining our strategic intent and our corporate strategy. And as part of that, talent is a key thing. I think one thing that also excites me at Gijima is that it's not just an HR initiative. It's actually a business initiative, and it's part and parcel of strategy from an executive level. Right? So to give you an example, a couple of weeks ago, I bumped into one of our new recruits. They've been here just over 6 months, and we're having a chat. And I just said, "So, how have you found Gijima?" And they shared some insight, and we eventually had coffee to understand what are they seeing internally versus what we have externally, and what are some of the things that we can improve. So we do provide the same opportunity for our internal staff as our learners and external, including some of our clients as part of that HCM provision. So CompTIA certifications are there for obviously individuals that are transitioning into IT, especially from a foundational perspective. Well, I mean, one of our fantastic colleagues who's doing exceptionally well has transitioned from doing work in the bid office in order to be a frontline salesperson within the tech environment. Right? So very different career choice altogether. And what we're finding is that a lot of our employees want different paths that they could follow because of what they ultimately become passionate about. And we support that as much as possible to give people the foundation they need to fuel their growth.
That's fantastic. That's definitely a place people want to work at. And then you as an individual, I'm very interested. Tell me a little bit about how you got into this industry.
Oh, wow.
What
Wow,
is your path?
Jesse, my path has been quite exciting, to say the least. So I've always had the dream job of being a corporate executive. As young as I can remember, even at age 10, there was a show on ACBC One called Generations. I don't know
Oh,
if you
yes, I
remember.
know it.
For Nivundla's production.
Yes.
And I've always been inspired about, how they run their corporate, the likes of Achimoroko was the actor in that show.
Yes.
So I've always just wanted to do that. So how I started out is actually I wanted to do law. And then I looked at the fact that it's going to take me another 4 years, 2 years for articles and then to qualify. So I said no. Then I looked at the CA stream, accounting, and again, certification. And I was like, okay, this is not going to fly. What's big right now? And that's booming. And at the time in 2006, it was business analysis. So I studied the BCom in IT management.
Okay.
And I started my career at KPMG in the IT audit division. And I was doing IT audit. I later transitioned to management consulting. So my background is really strategy, operations, and management consulting. I spent a large majority of my formative career years in value engineering, which is a discipline that was really founded at SAP. And since then, I've really transitioned into focusing on driving business development, a strong value engineering engagement in order to help customers drive transformation, measure the key impact from a value perspective on their businesses, how to drive growth. And later on, went into managing different regions, different people. I've really had the privilege over the last few years to travel the world and work in different countries, different cultures. And it's really imparted a lot of the skill set that I've got now in scaling businesses from a revenue perspective, driving business development, and ensuring that we build the kind of inclusive culture that ultimately delivers results but has a happy people index.
Yes.
So I'm very excited about that. My own certification journey, recently completed my Harvard certification in leadership. I also did a very phenomenal program with YSA, which was looking at the intricacies of how you lead in your own leadership style. So leading self, leading the organization, and ultimately leading the community. So that was quite exciting. And I'm still keen to learn. I don't think anyone really stops learning.
Never.
What's really fascinating me now is just the AI impact on the world. In fact, at one keynote that I was delivering, one of the questions that one of the professors in Namibia was asking is, a lot of the students are using AI to do research papers, which they feel fundamentally defies what the whole point of
Yes.
research is. So should they allow AI to be part and parcel of research or not, right? And I've said, my answer is pretty simple, is that you can't really reverse it now.
Yeah.
Right? It's part and parcel of how the world works. The important thing is, what are the learning outcomes that you're trying to impart on these young individuals? And how do you then infuse them with new tech or whatever emerging trend there is, so that it's in an immersive learning environment that they can understand and absorb quite quickly? Right?
Yes.
Young people in South Africa are very active on social media. And I know I'm going slightly off topic, but that's where they've found the foundations of their learning. So the latest news, trends, and key, topics that come up, a lot of them find out about them on social media. So why are we not using that and leveraging it as a platform for driving skills development, learning, etc.?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's how my career started. It's still going, so quite excited about what I do here at Gijima, and who knows what's next.
Yep, we never stop learning.
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
self-improvement. I very much believe in that. We're never too old to learn anything, never too clever to learn anything new. So we have several audiences that watch the CompTIA videos, and obviously we have corporates, and then we also have our training partners who are very interested, obviously, to do business with all the people that we interview. And then the group that I'm very passionate about are the young individuals that are building their careers. So it's always interesting for them, and I make sure that we cover topics like, what advice would you have for young people? So I'm going to go with that question now. What advice do you have for young people? Let's go to even the level where, they're looking at, what career must I do? And we both know that you never end up where you think you're going to end up. There you are. You started in auditing, and here you are today in a different environment, more business related. What advice would you have for young people?
So I want to take it slightly the inverse, right? So
Okay.
advice for employers.
Okay, great. Yes,
And we'll
please.
then come to the young people.
Okay.
I think as employers, we really need to start changing how we do succession planning and drive talent management, right?
Okay.
We should stop investing in talent when it becomes urgent.
Absolutely.
Right, that's when we invest in talent.
Yes.
If you think about it, some of your best people, you only realize they're unhappy when they hand in the resignation letter,
Yes.
right? And there's a big saying that says, people don't leave organizations, they leave managers. So it's key for me. I think job specs and job descriptions are really outdated, right? The fact that we still require CVs and that whole process for me is still a core process, but I think it's outdated.
Okay.
I think what we should be specifically looking for now is the kind of people that have the aptitude to be self-starters, to be engaged in future learning, and that are really immersed in driving success that has a societal or business impact or both.
Okay.
Right? So we as Gijima have partnered with Darkies in Tech. We actually launched the partnership a couple of weeks ago. And you'll be very surprised at the level of talent that exists in these startup entrepreneurs that are solving societal issues. One lady is running a very interesting organization where overseas individuals plus South African individuals can get a nanny that has been approved to not harm your child
Okay.
on the go. So as how you'd book a Uber, you're able to book a nanny and drive those kind of services, right? Another individual, you've got the likes of Sobe, Legends Barber, Emmanuel, who runs SwiftBook. He's developed quite a unique app that allows you to book hair appointments on the fly with hairstylists, but managing it through AI.
Okay.
I mean, most ladies and guys, we do our hair. It's very hard to find the right stylist, to also find time because it takes so long to do your hair.
Yes.
But now that stylist schedule is managed by AI, so it can tell you the next available appointment and then work to your time. So helping to drive some efficiency there. So I think we really need to start looking at that. A second element to that is that employers need to stop being fixated on the graduate portion. We have a pool of young individuals that have left matric that are just as competent.
Absolutely.
But the access to higher education is extremely limited, Lorraine. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at how many people apply at WITS and how many get in, I applied at WITS. That was back in 2006, and I didn't get in, right? Even after passing matric with a distinction and all that. And what's then become available is that CompTIA, for example, YouTube and other platforms allow for that foundational learning and certification, that which we can drive.
Yes.
And that can springboard an individual into a particular thing, because you can teach skill set. You can't teach aptitude.
No.
Which brings me to the young people element. So we're talking about advice to young people. Young people really need to be grounded in their purpose, right? I've got a model that I call the 4 Ps, only because it doesn't have a great name. Maybe you can help me name it, Lorraine. Right? But essentially, what I say with young people is that invest in understanding your personality type. Very important. If you can understand if you're a choleric, a sanguine, melancholic, or a phlegmatic individual, it allows you to understand what kind of an environment enables the best personality traits of you.
Yes.
Right? So a very phlegmatic person doesn't enjoy high performance, high driven, high pressure environments.
Yes.
So it already eliminates certain environments where you won't be successful, not because you're not good or you don't have the competence, but purely because it doesn't align with who you are. Second thing is that once you've discovered your personality type, it's very important to understand, what are your passions? Okay. What drives you? What are you able to wake up every morning and do for free? And be realistic. Steve Harvey will tell you, if you can't sing, don't try sing, okay? It may be a passion of yours and you may love it. Find something in music that you could perhaps do that you're good at, because your passion is music, not necessarily singing. Okay?
Yes.
So be mindful in finding out what those passions are. That's the second P. The third one is, you need to determine what your purpose is. Okay? Because for as long as you're grounded in your purpose, you will always be successful, because you're doing what you're meant to do. Right? So if you hired a plumber, Lorraine, and you find him fixing your DSTV decoder, you lose your mind. Right? His purpose is for the pipes and the water.
Yes.
So be grounded in your purpose and find it very quickly. And the last P is path. Because once you've determined your personality type, you're clear on what your passions are, you've got a very clear purpose, you will ultimately be able to define the path that is best suited to grow your success. Right?
Absolutely.
So for me, that's very important. Young people need to believe in the mindset that they can be successful no matter what their starting background was.
Yes.
Right? So most of us come from a disadvantaged environment. The odds are always against you.
Yep.
Even at my level, they always are.
No, true.
Right? But the point is that we have to kick down the doors. Okay? You have to be intentional about what you want. And I can guarantee you that if you just change your mindset, your posture, and what you believe and what you believe about yourself, you'll quickly start seeing that the universe recognizes the same in you, and you start seeing opportunities align to where that is.
Yes.
And really, lastly, my advice would be to leaders, right? So organization, young people, leaders need to be more intentional about opening doors for young individuals, right? Don't just meet young individuals on their first day of their graduate program when they start at your office, but be intentional about engaging these young individuals. What are they interested in? What are they recognizing in the business that you don't see? Speak to people at every level of the organization, because when you are a leader in a business, you're not a leader of the business. You're a leader of the organization across your function. So from the guy that makes coffee to the lady at reception, to your functional consultant, to your senior managers, or even the execs that report into us, we need to understand what is the posture, what is the environment, and what is the culture in the organization, because then we're able to be more accurate around the temperament of, is what we're driving in tune with what our people are asking. All right, so that for me would be the key advice I'd share.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I absolutely love everything you said. Great advice for young people. I think it's much more practical advice that you're providing, which everybody can take and use. Kids have so much access today to podcasts, to that sort of thing. I want to touch on something else. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile last night, and I see that you're very much involved on a personal level outside of business in various charities and organizations. Do you feel comfortable to share some of that with us?
Yes, I do, right? Not necessarily charities, but I'm really deliberate about two things.
Okay.
One is I'm very deliberate about helping people find jobs in the corporate environment.
Yes.
I don't charge a fee for it. It's actually one of the key things I am very passionate about. And I help from updating your CV with the kind of language that recruiters are looking for, and making it concise enough for you to draw interest. I connect some of my key network with my recruiter network in order to help them find placements better and find synergies that will help people grow their careers. And I really speak to other leaders in my network to say, these are some of the key things that are lacking in your business, or what I'm at least observing, and I think these key individuals can help, right? So to give you an example, I had a very talented young lady reach out to me for a PA role, and she wanted to work for me, right? So I was like, okay, why would you want to work for me? But anyway, I was quite excited, but I didn't have a role for that at the time. But I've got a very good friend of mine who runs a mobile spa, right? So Purple Serenity, which is run by Nzwaki Hope. And she does, mobile spa treatments, including healing at home for past operations and that sort of thing. So I connected the two together so that she can run her admin office while Nzwaki can sort of drive the sales and business development element of the business. They're together still. I think it's been, almost 2 years. Wow, that's insane.
Incredible.
And they're doing well. But that's my passion, is how do we help people find the right placements within the networks that we have? And we have that power as leaders, so we should act in that capacity. The second thing I'm very deliberate about is mentorship of young individuals, right? So I don't take on a lot of mentees. I sort of want to cap it to about 4 and 5, but it's for a period. So anything between 12 to 15 weeks. It's a deliberate program that I run. It's also anchored by the mentorship journey and program I went through with a phenomenal leader, Sani Deslope, who mentored me a couple of years ago. And what I do is try and equip them for the readiness of the career path they're looking for, or the seniority in their career path already where they are. So that's some of the stuff that we do. And then, I'm supporting the likes of Stembiso, who's at Deloitte. So he's got an initiative that he started that looks at take a boy child to work and helping men and us as men finding our purpose in society so we can reduce the rates of GBV and purposeless work and really finding our place as men in order to support the changing work environment, but also to support our female counterparts, whether professionally or personally. So I'm very deliberate about that in ensuring that we build the kind of society that our kids can be most proud of, With Mother's Day coming up, Lorraine, this Sunday, my mom is my hero, And unfortunately, I don't have a relationship with my father, but I don't want to replicate that for my kids or their kids. So it's very important that the role that we play as men starts becoming more deliberate in society. If you know that Mpho, for example, committed a GBV act, as Lorraine, you should shun that. Why are we still in the same WhatsApp group? Why are we still engaging you on that sort of thing? What we should be doing is finding help for you, trying to understand how you can be showcasing some level of remorse, and how do you go about bettering your life? Not just for yourself, but for the people that you impact, That's very important. Because what I've started seeing in the last year is there's an increased trend of GBV-related incidents in the corporate environment.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, we've got ladies in the C-suite that are being mistreated, emotionally and physically abused, that are very embarrassed and shy to say because of the position they hold in the corporate and in society. And these men go about doing it without actually seeing any level of consequence. And you would have seen that was one of the main topics at this year's KPMG CEO Connect that Ignatius Suhule was speaking about. And it's not a trend that should even be a trend, Lorraine.
Yes,
it shouldn't be a trend, right? And it's because we're finding more and more men that are not in tune with their purpose, and therefore they're resorting to the negative aspects of their manliness, I guess, in doing things that really don't benefit society or their kids. Right? So those are really the three initiatives I can say I'm very deliberate about. I try to talk about a lot, and I try embody in how I lead, both in the corporate and in my community.
I mean, all. You are speaking my language completely. I think everything that you've shared today is so helpful for people out there. I hope that everybody is going to enjoy this content as much as I do. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. There's so much to you. I think it's amazing, what you're doing, the person that you are. It's not just that wonderful voice. Mpho, thank you so much for talking to us today. I had really a great time learning from you and learning more about you. And thank you for sharing everything that you believe in and what you do, and also your career side with us and our readers. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Lorraine.
you. Lovely to meet you. And that concludes our chat with Mpho Matsitse, Chief Industry Officer at Gijima. I think for me, this was really, really a fantastic experience. Mpho speaks to my heart and to everything I believe in. And I hope that you also take heart and enjoy the content that we're providing today. Thank you.